Hey, folks. So, another amazing crowd. Friday night was unreal. Our student section just showed up big, and really just the energy in the place was phenomenal. That's been really every week, every home game. So we appreciate the support we're getting from everybody, especially with just the season not going as we'd like. I know everybody's frustrated with the win loss, but I think they're also aware of just the schedule we've played and how these guys are growing up and improving. I do think we've improved. I thought we played our most complete game. But at the end of the day, I said this Friday night, Fresno made plays that they needed to make in critical situations, and we just didn't. There's some inexperience that still shows up. There's some lack of discipline at times shows up. There's some miscommunication that shows up. All the above, just things that we got to coach them out of. It's our job. Mine and our staff, we got to find ways to really break through with this group and get beyond those mistakes that cost us the other night and move past, getting close and get to the point where we're finding ways to win. I got to keep it in perspective. I think it's really important. I know it's been a lot of talk about the four opponents that we've lost to and their records. Been good teams, but we're capable of being a good team as well. And so that's the frustration, is getting past that point of some of the untimely mistakes and issues that have kept us from being able to get over the hump against teams that we're really close to beating. So we got to keep working. It doesn't get any easier. We got to go on the road and find a way to get a win against a team that can score a lot of points. And it's always been really a last series of the game type of win for us in previous games against San Jose. I know their record doesn't look great, but they're a much better team than their record indicates. I think we are as well. And we're both fighting for our lives at this point in terms of bowl eligibility and league play. And so it'll be a battle. What questions do you have?
Hey, Coach Patrick Wheeler with the Ag Ship. I'll ask about the health of the team. Where are you guys at right now?
A little beat up. It's still too early to tell. The extra day could be helpful in some areas, but it's been a physical run without an open week yet. There's guys that are battling through. I don't have any absolute can't play for sure answers for you yet, but we're beat up. The next couple of days are going to be important that we recover well and try to get some guys back on the field, if possible.
Coach, Trentwood with Deseret News. You referenced the conference race. I'm curious, how often do you have conversations with the team about the conference race, or is it just something that you guys, everybody's aware of, but you don't talk about it?
Yeah, just aware of it. We're talking about the process, trying to get better every week, try to be 1-0 every week, be the best team we can be. And so what happens there, if you do enough good things, then you're in that conversation. If you don't, you're not. Try to be process driven, not results driven, and really focus on the things you can control, and eliminating mistakes and playing with great effort and just improving every week are the things that you can. And what happens within the conference is just so far away from what we can handle. We don't really discuss it.
Hey, Coach, Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. How did you spend your Saturday? Not having a game to prepare for or play. Did you get to watch any other college football games on Saturday?
I watched ball all day long. I really did. I watched ball all day long. I was able to get stayed here Friday night after the game and went through our entire game till 1:30 or so in the morning, and then Saturday I literally just watched games and tried to be a fan. Honestly, I tend to watch it as a coach anyway, but watched some really good games in our league and some opponents we're going to be playing soon, and watched some good games just across the country. So for one day, I just chilled on the couch with my wife and kiddos and watched a bunch of ball.
And Coach, along those lines, what did you think of the Wyoming Air Force game or the Colorado State game with Boise? What did you think of those games?
Those are wild games. There's no doubt. I mean, that's welcome to the Mountain West. You better be ready every week. Yeah, I got a chance to watch both. I probably should have gone to bed a little earlier than I did, but I stayed up and watched all the way down to the Hail Mary with the Colorado State game, and it was, it was kind of like watching us, man. They got themselves in a hole and dug their way back and made some big plays down the stretch. That was a crazy finish. The Wyoming Air Force game was about what I expected. Two big physical power running teams and going right at each other. You hate to see the quarterback go down at Air Force. He's been playing at such a high level, but they overcame adversity and found a way to get a win. It's really good football in our league all across the board. Even watch some of the Hawaii San Diego State game as well. I think everybody's battling, and just remind yourself you better be ready every week.
Andrew Hyde, KSL.com. You had MJ Tafisi with a career high in tackles. He's currently leading the team in tackles, and he's also been around for a while. Him and Hale Matuapuaka have been huge in kind of building some longevity and staying with the team for a while. What does it mean to have those two and their leadership on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, well, Hale's been here longer than I have. So, you just look at him, and I know there was an article about him last week, just what this place means to him and just how much pride he has in being an Aggie and stuck it out and, had plenty of opportunities to leave along the way. I don't know if people really are truly aware of just how many opportunities he's had to transfer and maybe even benefit from NIL in a way that he wasn't able to here along his journey until now. I mean, it just says a lot about him, how much he cares about this place. His brother's here now, and they wanted to do it together. So, this is his home, and he's done a tremendous job here, help us win a championship and just continue to grow like we are at this point. MJ came in a different way, but it's meant just as much, coming in from Washington and plugging in immediately and has played extremely hard. He's such a great kid, worked so hard, played through injury as well. And they've both been great leaders for us on defense.
Hey, Coach Patrick Mayhorn again. San Jose State has some new faces this year. Obviously, had some big-time players leave after this last season, graduate. Offensively, though, they're still, like you said, very, very good. What are they doing on that side of the ball this season?
They look a little bit different. That we've always kind of thought of them as a West Coast or air raid type team. Purely spread out and slinging the ball, but they're playing with multiple tight ends, a lot of shifts and motions, and eye candy, and really making the matchups difficult for you. It's a little bit of a change from what we've seen in the past, and they've always used the tight end, but a lot more window dressing, a lot of more eye candy than maybe what we've seen in the last couple of years from them. The quarterback obviously makes things go. He can run, he can throw. He's dynamic when he does get out of the pocket, and as you mentioned, they've done a good job recruiting some skilled players to fit their system. So the matchups are going to be difficult, but it is a little different than what we've seen in previous years from them.
Coach Al Lewis, I was going to ask you the same thing. It looks like they're running the ball more, and they're really using Robinson. And then this other guy came in and had more than 100 or more than 10 yards of carry against Mexico.
Yeah, it just looks a little different. I don't know if injuries or they found some things that they feel like work for them, but it's not the traditional, spread, quick game, air raid type system that we've come to know. They're finding some other ways to be effective. It creates some problems for you. I know Joe, compared to previous years to what we're looking at now, he's like, he'd done a lot of prep work and now he's having to kind of change his thought process a little bit because they've found some other ways to be effective. If you run the ball well, it opens everything up and takes a lot of pressure off your quarterback and your throw game. And that seems to be what they're doing better at this point than any that we've seen in the last couple of years.
Then over on defense, they have been a team that's had a lot of sacks the last couple of years. They don't have many. They've got new guys obviously there, but they don't give up a lot, and then they get a lot of turnovers for their defense.
Yeah, I think they do a good job of creating turnovers. They always have. Their front has been dynamic in the last couple of years, and they've lost some guys just like we have to transfer into graduation, but they still have the ability to get after you. And you watch even the game early in the year against USC, they gave their offensive line tons of trouble all day long. They have the ability to be versatile. They can get to a lot of looks without having to change a whole lot. They have speed in the back end to cover, but I think it does start with their front. Their front seven is solid and plays with extremely high motor. So you got to you got to outwork them. You got to match that intensity and outwork them and be sound.
Hey, Coach. Brian Priest, KSLSports.com. You mentioned briefly on Friday night that McKay might be available this weekend. And, with that in mind, you've also said that you don't believe in a guy losing his job because of injury. So with the play of Cooper Legat, quarterback, where are you at in that decision-making process? How's McKay's recovery looking?
McKay's moving forward at the right pace. Today's a big day for him too. Just he's got to finalize all his protocol and make sure there's no issues. I haven't made a final decision yet. I felt like Coop did a really, really good job in McKay's absence, and he did grow up from some of his earlier issues. Wasn't without mistakes, and still kind of the decision for me is, just what gives us the best chance to be successful moving forward. That's the ultimate answer, is who and what allows us to be the most successful. So still want to just kind of continue to analyze it. Haven't made a final decision. A lot will depend on how McKay's doing today with the trainers and doctors, and is he really progressing at the rate that we need him to before we make a final decision.
Hey, Coach
Do you
Eric
practice
Franson.
both? If they're both healthy, Coach, do you practice both of them equally in reps this week, or how does that work? When do you make that decision?
If I make a decision before tomorrow's practice exactly who's going to be the starter, then the starter will get more reps. But even over the last few weeks, when or during the time that McKay was the starter and Coop was the backup, I was probably a little bit more equal with the reps than I typically would be. I want to make sure Coop continued to develop and was ready in case the opportunity to play presented itself, and it did, and I'm glad we did. But once I make a final decision on who the guy is and how we're progressing, then there will be a stagger. It won't be equal. Probably, 60-40 is probably the best you could hope for.
Hey, Coach Eric Franson again. And talking about shifting back to Cordero, how similar or different is he in the San Jose State offense as opposed to what you saw in him in Hawaii?
Well, I just think they were so much more organized offensively for him. We saw that last year. It really fits his skill set. He's got he has all the tools to be dynamic. I just felt like that what we were seeing at Hawaii was a little disorganized. Not sure that he was really getting the opportunity to get comfortable. He didn't have the skilled players that he has now, so the weapons changed. It seemed to be a really good fit for him. And when he's played well, they've been really tough to defend. And clearly they scored a bunch of points this last week against New Mexico. And, even though New Mexico's record may not be great, I just have always felt like they're extremely difficult to move the ball against. We've struggled last year, especially to move the ball against them with what they do. And to put the points up they did is saying a lot. So I think he makes everything go, and he's been much more comfortable in that environment than what you saw at Hawaii, just in my opinion, without having talked to the kid or just looking at him on tape.
Patrick Mayhorn again. I want to ask about just the program that Brent Brennan has built there in a place that has not had a ton of consistency. Now having a ton of consistency under him, what do you think of the job that he has done at San Jose State?
I think he's done a great job. I mean, Brent, number one, he's a really good friend of mine, and I know him very, very well. You're right. He's been at a place where he's had to do a lot of things off the field as well. They've built a new facility there. I think he was very instrumental in raising money and getting the energy behind that program to do those things, to win the championship during the COVID year and beat Boise the way they did. I mean, those are things that just hadn't been done ever at that place. So, you go there and there's energy in the stands, and they're hard to beat in recruiting. I know they're doing things in NIL and Austin money and funding things to give them a chance to be successful. And I don't think any of that happens if you don't have a guy that's, out in front leading things. And I think he's got a personality that people want to be around. He's a good friend. He's been a good friend both on and off the field for me. And he and Courtney, his wife, have been really, really close to my family for quite a while through a lot of adversity off the field. And proud to call him a friend, but also really proud of the job he's done. Now, I want him to win all of them but one, to be honest with you. And on Saturday night, I want to make sure that when we shake hands, that somehow we found a way to get the win.
Coach Trentwood again. How valuable are trips to California like this weekend and then for San Diego State as far as recruiting goes, visibility of the program?
Yeah, it's important. I mean, it's a that's a heavy spot for us. We've got commitments from there already and recruit there. If you look at our roster, you're aware that the California JCs and the high school ranks are places that we have to recruit. And to be able to be visible out there, play well out there, I think all that matters. I mean, you got to have a brand that is consistent. And I think what you do when you're in that environment, they get a chance to see you up close and personal is always important.
I'll ask another question. This is a couple weeks old, but Kyle Van Leeuwen announced his retirement on Instagram, I think 3 weeks ago now. I'm curious what went into that, and is he still allowed to be around the program? What's his involvement with the program?
He's still around a lot. He's taken on a new role. I think his role now is to beat as many people as ping pong as he possibly can on a daily basis. Bring morale to the team. He's always got a smile on his face and just energy that I think is really, really helpful. He loves this place, didn't want to retire. He had just had multiple knee injuries. The damage that had been done there was something that was not going to get better. They repaired what they could, but the pain and swelling and just, I don't know, man, arthritis and all the above in the joint would not allow for him to even practice, let alone play, without substantial swelling and pain on a daily basis. He agonized over the decision, prayed about it a lot. We talked about it a good bit. He and his family took some time away to really finalize it. But I think ultimately he knew that was really his only choice, or he was going to be looking at further and long-term damage. And I mean, he wants to raise kids and, be able to put them up on his shoulders and sorts of things that a dad wants to do. And any time that he would continue to play would have maybe affected his ability to do that. And so we supported it, hated it, but supported it.